I am very happy to be with you guys, and just thank you for having me. I'm glad that there's interest in the New World for the Phallological Museum and phallology, but yeah, I was surprised to hear from you guys, and yeah, you just sped up your clock, right? So this was no problem at all for me. So shall we begin, or?
Please go ahead. The floor is yours. Yep, we can go ahead and share screen.
Okay. I still have the poll. I'll end the poll then, if it's. Is that all right with you, Bronwyn?
Yep, everything looks fine.
Okay. All right then. You have my screen. Everything looks proper, right? Okay.
Yes.
I call this presentation the museum no one wanted, because basically nobody asked for a phallological museum, but our very eccentric founder still, well, he came with it, but it wasn't exactly intentional, but it happened. But yeah, here you see our logo, and yeah, we're quite happy with it, and I think it's quite distinctive. But whatever that is, we'll get right into it. And I'll begin with here explaining the concept of phallology. Phallology, like you see here on the screen, is basically an ancient science which has until recently received little attention in Iceland, except in borderline field studies like academic disciplines such as history, art, psychology, and other artistic fields. This is the explanation which our website gives. But in actuality, and over like the past, well, 25 years now that the Phallological Museum has existed, phallology is basically the collection and study of penises. And the museum kind of, that is what we specialize in. We are constantly adding more phalluses, gathering more knowledge, logging everything, and keeping track of that. But phallology is also the study of basically cultural things, all phallological or phallic aspects of culture within different societies. But of course, our main field is gathering and studying penises or phalluses from different species of mammal. And we are trying to basically develop, find out, and establish aspects such as average length, the anatomy between different animal orders, things like that, and kind of establish a frame of reference which hopefully can be utilized by someone who's interested in the subject. But moving on, our founder, Thordur O, was a historian with a degree from the University of Scotland. His main field of history or studying was Latin American history, and he was a teacher, basically. He worked for a short time as a principal, but he was mainly a teacher and a teacher at heart. But he was also a prankster, as you can imagine anyone who would found a penis museum would be. And yeah, I guess you could say he liked to push people's buttons. And he was curator for 14 years. And I think, yeah, when he retired, he really, in a way, he left an unmatched legacy, which, well, people have been enjoying in their tens of thousands ever since. But at the moment, the collection holds over 115 species. And I just got news that we were getting our 116th. That's a kudu antelope from Africa. We're very excited to get that. And we have now well over 400 pieces of art and cultural items, and we're getting them basically by the scores every year. And with the increasing number of visitors, we're always getting more, which is always exciting. But kind of how the collection began is something that a lot of people are interested in. And our founder, when he was a young boy, he spent most of his childhood at a farm, like most Icelandic children at the time. And well, many years later, in 1974, he was working as a principal in a secondary school in a small town in Reykjavik, which had like a booming, well, I wouldn't say, okay, not maybe booming, but like a substantial whaling industry. Iceland used to be pretty big on whaling. It isn't anymore, but he spoke with his coworkers often about how everything was utilized from the animal back in the day. And when, as a boy, he'd had a pizzle to direct sheep, and also like when gathering sheep when fall was coming, and the pizzle was basically the sinews from a bull's penis. And well, his coworkers thought it was funny, and well, as a joke, they basically found like a bull penis pizzle and gave it to him. And not only that, this became an ongoing joke, and they even began giving him penises from the whaling station, as it was pretty much the only thing which wasn't used from the whales. Some of them even worked at slaughterhouses, but yeah, apparently the neighbors were often distraught because his wife hung out the bull penises to dry, like one would hang out the laundry to dry. But yeah, this when he worked at the town, he got quite a few bull, whale, and whale penises, and some others. But yeah, like with time, this kind of developed into a passion, and he contacted coastal farmers around Iceland. You know, Iceland is an island, and during the 80s especially, there was we had a lot of beach whales, and he contacted the coastal farmers and basically asked if he would be allowed to come and claim the penis of the beach whale. Of course, he only took penises from whales which had already expired. And well, most of them, interestingly, said like, well, okay, why not? They didn't care. So yeah, he was able to obtain many penises this way. And not only that, he was also contacted farmers with, you know, if rams were slaughtered and stuff like that. He asked if he could, you know, get the penises from the rams, or even testicles and scrotums, basically all things phallic. But during many of his ventures on the coast, he met with researchers from the Marine Freshwater Research Institute, which is a governmental organization in Iceland, which basically studies and monitors all fishing in Iceland and makes measurement of the fish stock to prevent, you know, overfishing and stuff like that. And they apparently were an enormous source of excellent information, which I'll get to soon. But here's a picture of Sigurður, our founder. He always prepared his penises in the backyard, and he even did some experiments with tanning the foreskin, especially from sperm whales. And I imagine this drew quite some attention from his neighbors, but the tanning from sperm whale penises was inspired by a chapter in Herman Melville's classic Moby Dick, a chapter simply known as the cassock. Maybe some of you know it. If I remember correctly, there was a crew member fashioned the cassock from the foreskin of penis of a sperm whale, and it fit apparently well and quite snugly. We have tried this at the Phallological Museum, and Sigurður tried this, and we haven't come across a sperm whale penis big enough to make for a cassock suitable for a full-grown man, but it was definitely interesting to try it. The picture you see is actually from our bar, and yeah, we have a signature New England pale ale we call Moby Dick, of course, which is probably our most popular beverage at the museum. Basically, when every time Sigurður got a penis, he tried to utilize everything from it, like was done back in the day, and he began to fashion lamps from both ram testicles and ram scrotums, excuse me, not testicles, ram scrotums and bull scrotums. And you see here on the slide that like sow ram testicles are actually now in Iceland considered a delicacy, but they were like seriously a common diet in Iceland up to the mid-20th century. But you see the lamps that he himself fashioned here. We have these, well, about 50 of these at the museum, and we've sold them in the hundreds. So well, yeah, our customers have taken, well, very positively taken note of these. And these are the ones you see on the screen are actually bull scrotums. He began with trying to make lamps from ram scrotums, but well, apparently it worked out better with bull scrotums. And well, back to the phalluses. Part of the problem of collecting the phalluses was how to preserve them, or how to keep them, basically. And well, initially, he liked the idea of having his house filled with shield-mounted penises from whales, and here you see a shield-mounted killer whale penis. It was actually a very young killer whale. I believe that particular penis is just over 2 feet. Full-grown killer whale penis would probably be twice that size. But it soon became apparent that, well, taxidermists in Iceland weren't used to working with whales, especially whale penises. There's a lot of oil in the penises, and the skin is very rigid. And often when the penises were taxidermied, they lost a lot of girth and a little bit in length, of course. And in the penis department, you don't want that to happen. Eventually, he settled on formalin cylinders. Yeah, well, plexiglass cylinders filled with formalin. And like the slide says here, it should give us at least 30 years of shelf life, but some experts have said that we should, well, even up to 100 if we change the formalin regularly. I don't know if that's formalin, that's formaldehyde, basically. I wasn't sure on the translation there. But Yes, this is basically the method that we have been using now for 25 years, and this is probably what we're going to be doing in the future. And on the picture, you see like there a juvenile humpback whale on the left side. Yeah, I think probably well, yeah, not even a teenager, but a very young one on the right side. The top third of the penis is the outer penis, which is probably the only thing that you would ever see on the whale when its penis would be erect or when it would have to relieve itself. Now, as Sigurd was collecting, he began to notice like consistent phallus features within animal orders, like with the ungulates, the I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but with like bulls and the rams and the horses, there were certain phallic features and well other features, but within the whales, but still common features, as both of them belong to the same super order. But like also when he began getting like predators and stuff like that, there were different phallic features. But I will go into that a little better later. But as the collection kept growing, eventually Sigurd decided on a pretty lofty goal, and that was to obtain every species of the Icelandic mammal fauna. Now that may sound daunting, but it maybe isn't, because Iceland has less than 50 species of mammal, and that includes the marine mammals. But I decided to have here a picture of Arctic foxes. They were the first animal to settle Iceland, and well, some biologists say that's probably about 30,000 years before man settled Iceland. So that's interesting. Well, like I said, the collection kept growing, and eventually, as the living room became increasingly crowded with amputated phalluses, Sigurd's wife said, "No more. You can't keep the penises at the house anymore." So that's kind of how the idea of a museum came to be. And well, the picture you see here was, I don't know exactly who made it, but Sigurd once told me that, and he said this a couple of times, that if he ever gets rich, he would like to, well, build the museum into this and make it look like this. So yeah, that's fun. But in the year 1997, in a back room in a shop, a small shop in downtown Reykjavik, the Icelandic Phallological Museum opened. It had only 62 biological specimens, all of them Icelandic, and 100 pieces of art. Sigurd pretty much had every mammal of the Icelandic mammal fauna except one, and that was the human. But a lot of people are very interested in how the reaction in Iceland was. Like, weren't people appalled? Well, of course it is. It is very different, but I think the general attitude in Iceland, especially at the time, was basically, why? Why would anybody do that? And then just after that, just people went on with their lives. Apparently, there was one lady who had like a protest, but nobody paid attention. So, yeah, that was it. But like the museum got quite some attention, but pretty soon, like interest among locals kind of faded, and also like Iceland pretty much did not have a tourist industry at the time, and sadly few people go to museums in their locality, I guess. but that's at least our reception, our experience. Sorry, but always the collection kept growing, and Sigurður was, adding, and he had a few visitors from abroad, and this is when he really began getting like foreign species, and that is like he wasn't initially open to that, but that is basically how we're adding all of our penises today. So I'm very glad that he did, and then that he decided to keep on collecting. But we, like I said, interest was limited, but we were getting a lot of interest from mainland Europe mostly, and surprisingly, a lot of press. We've discovered a lot of press articles, which we're talking about the museum. But it wasn't going well in Reykjavik. So Sigurður was very, very relieved when the town of Húsavík, which is on the other town of Iceland, offered Sigurður to move the museum to the town. The town is often called like the whale watching capital of the world, and the local authorities there decided that after people go to watch whales, it would be fun to go and see their penises in a museum afterwards. And you see the space that the museum got there. It was a much nicer and bigger space than the previous one, and it is kind of here that we can say the museum found its stride. It became like it went hand in hand. If Icelanders went to Húsavík, or foreigners as well, you went to see the whales, and then you went to the penis museum afterward, well, phallological museum, of course. So this is really where like you could say like it became apparent that phallological museum would really be a lasting thing. But the human penis had always remained elusive. But he had a would-be donor, was kind of an infamous figure in Iceland, an old gentleman who claimed to have bedded over 300 women in his time, but anyway, that in 2011, that gentleman passed away, and he donated his penis to the museum, and this completed the collection. So basically, a couple of days after receiving the final member, Sigurður announced his retirement. And I believe, well, I know that there is a Canadian documentary which puts the museum obtaining its human member, the human penis. It's a documentary which basically is about the museum and the Icelandic man who donated his penis, and an American man who wanted to be the first donator of the penis. It's called The Final Member, and it puts like it puts the penis donation in kind of a competitive setup where both gentlemen are looking to be the first human member. It's pretty interesting. I think it's called The Final Member, and I believe it came out in 2013 or 14. And yeah, it used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it is anymore. But anyway, after Sigurður retired, his son took over, and he immediately announced that he had plans to move the museums back to Reykjavik. And Iceland now suddenly had a almost like booming tourist industry. So this totally made sense. And he got a much bigger space. This was needed as we had gotten much more species and much more penises, basically. Yeah, so he moved the museum to downtown Reykjavik. Here you see a picture of the location we had in 2011 till basically 2020, and here the business really took off, and yeah, it was the reception was like phenomenal. It went from I believe that in 2011, prior to moving, the museum had gotten 12,000 visitors, and this pretty much grew every year by double or tripled every year after we moved. But with a bigger space and more penis coming in, the revenue increased, and we were able to, Sigurd's son actually was able to hire more staff, and with that we began like more systematically categorizing phalluses along like more professional biological and zoological standards. His approach had always been like kind of natural philosophy, mostly observing and logging, but not that much on categorizing, or not. He wasn't keen on making any deductions, but I guess he just simply didn't have the time. He was most of the time teaching with us, but still extremely valuable work that that has been built on. And I believe that this was just like a natural continuation of what he was doing. And also, like, we began getting, well, species or penises from species which were not mammals, like crab penises. And I dare anyone to guess which one is the male on the picture here. I'll answer that during the end, or the Q&A, if anybody's interested. Now, in 2018, the museum got well over 90,000 visitors, and with constantly more penises being added, again, a bigger space was needed. So that is basically how we began that is when then we began the transition to our current premises. But yeah, I just want to point you here, like here on the picture on the left side, the big one there, that is a sperm whale penis. That is a fairly small penis from an adult sperm whale. Interestingly, in Icelandic waters, we do not get a lot of large whales. That is a large. Actually, we don't get a lot of adult males of the larger types of whale, like sperm whale, blue whale, or humpback whale. That is because the larger whales like to mate and, well, basically spend their time in warmer waters. And there beside it on the table, you see two cross sections of a sperm whale penis, which taxidermists mistakenly destroyed, but we were able to save these two cross sections. So this is our current location. We moved here in 2020. We tripled the space from the last one. We're hoping this will last for at least a few more years, but we have the option of expanding. And basically our collection is growing exponentially. So we'll see what that happens. But we are right in the heart of Reykjavik now, by the harbor, and yeah, it's going very well. It didn't look good because we moved right during COVID, but we survived and we're thriving. Here you see our setup right now. I feel that it looks much more professional. We have a proper picture of every animal, and we have basically sectionized as much as we can along the lines of the suborders of mammals. We have a whale section, we have an ungulate section, we have a land predator section, a seal section, and so on. But yeah, we are very proud of how the museum comes out, and our guests are very surprised at, yeah, that it is a proper museum, I guess. But like going into the like I spoke of before, phallus features, I want to go into that a little bit. Like predators, rodents, seals, and most primates, pretty much every primate except for men, have a penis bone. Now, these are believed to have the function of maintaining an erection for multiple subsequent mating bouts. And it is believed that humans lost their penis bone about roughly 2 million years ago, as soon as either as a result of or causing monogamy to be more common. That is, our ancestor would have lost that. I mean, on the picture you see a penis bone from a now extinct walrus, which is basically the largest penis bone ever to have existed. That is the penis bone of that particular walrus. I don't know if they probably definitely existed some of them bigger than this one, but walruses have the biggest penis bone of all living mammals, and this extinct type is believed to have had the biggest penis bone of them all. Now, we do not have this penis bone. This one was bought by a Ripley's, believe it or not, and we are looking into obtaining one of our own. Another feature is retractor muscles. Humans do not have a retractor muscle. We have a suspended penis, but a retractor muscle basically serves the function of releasing an erection. The retractor muscles, which you see here on the right side of the phallus on the picture, you see the two kind of like cords coming out of the base of the penis. These are the retractor muscles. These are from a very young minke whale. And when these muscles would relax, the penis would release out of a general slit, and you would have an erection. But not too many people know that ungulates also have a retractor muscle, but it's much weaker and more minute. But they also, many of them, keep their penis in a body cavity. But they share they belong to the same super order of mammals. I forget what that is called, but yeah, this is basically what we do in phallology. This is phallology for you, if you can call it that. Now, with the new museum, we set up these phallological information plaques or profiles on each of the species. This, we believe, gives our guests an opportunity to really, well, study phallology and look into the prevalent features within animal groups and amongst some species. And you look there at the oddities. It's incredible that each animal seems to have its odd habit or odd penis feature. There's always something really distinctive about each species, and we're always learning more on that. And here you see like the average adult's penis length, stuff like that. We don't have these averages on all of the species that we have, but we are working on it, and this is some of the work that we do. Going into the cultural aspects of the museum has gathered hundreds of cultural items, and we constantly get stuff from all around the world, and we've pretty much found that most species have, well, phallic symbolism in some way or the other, but of course some societies more than others. A lot of people presume that Iceland has a very phallocentric culture, but I'll get into that a little later. I am a major in religious history with a focus on religious conversion in Northern Europe and Scandinavia. And a lot of people presume that there was active phallic worship in Scandinavia. I am not sure that this is the case, but we have found texts which relate that. There's an old Icelandic chronicle which says of Saint Olaf, king of Norway, who encounters a phallus worshipping family in the basically a remote place in Norway, and apparently the woman of the house had taken the penis from the family's old draft horse and embalmed it, and began leading her family in like heretical worship of the penis during evening gatherings. But then one night, the saintly King Olaf came to their house and joined the ceremony, but instead of like saying a prayer to the evil penis, which was growing with every night, he threw it to the family dog, and thus saving their souls and ending the evil heresy. But yeah, this is a text written probably by by a priest, and I think it's from the 14th century, and the author seems very much aware of the absurdity of the subject matter, and yeah, it's pretty much like he's willingly telling a joke. That's my feeling of it. But pretty much we have found that there is very little particularly phallic about Icelandic culture or even Norse culture in general. But there was I might mention there was a statue. There's a German text which tells of a statue which was in Uppsala in Sweden, which apparently had it was a statue of the god Frey, the fertility god, and it apparently had a giant phallus. But aside from that, I don't believe there's anything else. A lot of people presume that Iceland is a phallic culture because of the presence of a phallological museum, but I think it's mostly just, you know, our founder being an eccentric guy who, you know, wanted to have fun with people. But when you go further south in Europe, like in Mediterranean cultures, you will find an abundance of culture of like phallic symbolism. Like, for instance, we have scores of statues of the god Priapus, or Bez, as he is known in Turkey. Now, it's very, very interesting. I mean, we literally have them in the scores, and he appears in both Greek and Roman mythology, and even like a version of him. Version of him appears in like early Turkic folklore prior to like the conversion to Islam, and even we found this the appearance of Priapus in Egyptian mythology. He apparently frightens away thieves and plague and dangers to the home and also the livestock and the farm with his sickle and gargantuan penis. So yeah, and he's terribly ugly. But Ovidius, Publicus Ovidius Naso has a very interesting. Has a very interesting short narrative about him beating a donkey to death with his phallus for interrupting him when he. Yeah, I read Fasti by Ovid. It's interesting stuff, but yeah, like phallic symbolism in, like, say, Italy and Greece, it has, like, up until quite recently been very common. I think it's just pretty much my generation there which has moved away from phallic symbolism, but like the penis is believed to ward off the evil eye and even bring luck and good fortune. And here on the picture you see a picture of a Facinus, which well, is described as like the triumphant phallus. Now these were a common symbol on apparently triumphant generals often bore this symbol on their chariots during victorious processions into Rome to ward off envy. But yeah, that's moving away from Europe. Just here in the end, we are very at the moment we are taking in material from everywhere else, and we have a lot of stuff from Asia, but there is, from what I hear and from what we found, we have so much yet to add, and it's. I'm sorry that I wasn't apparently the text here on this sheet here is wrong, but in India has a very this phallus plays a very important role in, like, Hindu theology, and it is there's a legend which speaks of the world falling into chaos when Shiva, the destroyer god, loses his penis. Now the penis in, like, Hindu theology has both has mainly a creative aspect, but apparently Shiva, the destroyer god, either lost or destroyed his own penis, and the world fell into chaos when the penis was lost. But all of the other gods sought his penis, but they couldn't find it. But finally, Shiva saved the world by proclaiming that anybody who would worship his penis and thus resurrect it would get their wishes fulfilled, and thus he set the world in order. Now, I think this is well, pretty much where I should end. Am I too short in time, or did I go way over? Or
no, it's perfect.
Right. I'm sorry if I was too long-winded, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thordur, thank you. Thank you so much. If you can unshare and we can do some Q&A.
Yeah.
Well, let me put a spotlight on you, Thordur. Let me see. Thank you. The museum is friends of mine have been, and that's how I knew about it. And it's on my list of things to do, as is to go to Iceland. We're supposed to go, but COVID changed a lot of things, so it's still out there ready for me. But thank you so much for sharing the history and giving us a little bit of an inside tour of the museum and understanding it. Yep. We had a question, and in terms of the crab, this is a Maryland Central crowd, and crabs are central to Maryland and the Chesapeake Bay. So everyone knew the answer. We said the male is the one with the Washington Monument, not the Capitol building, is how we say it here in the States. On there. So yes, we had that one on there. All right, let me see, go back in here. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. Also, you can raise your hand and unmute and talk to Thordur. Okay. So in one of your first slides, you mentioned that there was a connection between penises and ballet. So Sarah was asking about that.
Well, I don't know the connection myself. That this is simply the definition of phallology that our founder gave, and
Okay.
I've asked him about it, and he is reluctant to answer. I'm sorry about that.
All right, we'll continue to search that answer. And then you mentioned that the ones that the founder collected came from already deceased animals, but Megari asked, how do you ensure that the samples that you are collecting now are being sourced ethically?
Yes. Well, as far as we know, no animal has ever been killed for its penis, and that is something that we emphasize, that is something we do not want and that we do not care for. But like with the whales in the beginning, Theodor himself was very passionate about this, and he only took penises from whales which were beached. And I know that all of the animal penises that we have been getting from Africa, for instance, there is a rancher there who is very much into animal preservation. And I know that the local authorities around in Namibia, which he is from, are working with him. So I expect that if he would be doing something, well, unethical there, that would be stopped. It is an animal preservation ranch that he has, and one thing that we've noted, like most of the animals which we have been getting the penises from are quite old from there. We haven't been getting, I don't think, any young mammals. So that is reassuring. That was, but we are not on the premises when they take place. So, but yeah, we do as much as we can, but we are limited as being stationed in Iceland, and we're getting a lot of penises from abroad.
Okay, and Tom wanted to know, in your last slide, you showed the red fountain when you were talking about India. What was the red fountain?
Yes, sorry. That is a lingam, and the stump which comes out of the fountain symbolizes the Shiva's penis, the destructive god's penis, and the bowl beneath symbolizes the vulva. It is a common symbol in India.
Okay, and Elizabeth says that she visited your museum in January of 2020, so she wanted to tell you that, and she had a wonderful time there. And Sarah also went to Iceland during COVID. She was there in November.
Okay.
Let's see. Is the wonderful founder still with us?
He is still with us, and he is reluctant to take part in museum operations, but occasionally I can get some stuff out of him, and he regularly visits to either get a cup of coffee or a slice of cake, and he heckles the customers a lot. He goes into the museum and starts asking the visitors inquisitive questions and making people uncomfortable. So yeah.
Hannah wanted to, if you could speak a little bit more about the difference between predator penises and how they might be different.
Predator penises from like with different within land predators, or different from other penises?
I think different from other penises, predators
Okay.
versus,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, that okay. Yeah, predators generally, or meat eaters in general, land meat eaters have a bone in their penis. Now there are differences between predators, like canids having a hollow penis bone, which supports more blood flow than other predators. But it is believed that the predators need to be able to mate the male predator, because he is always in competition. The alpha is always in competition with other would-be alphas, or he's in competition with the betas to maintain his position. He needs to be able to mate often, very rapidly in like subsequent, when the opportunity gives itself. He needs to be able to mate often in a very short time. So he needs to maintain an erection. This is so he doesn't have to expose himself. So that is one like prevalent feature among predators. Also, interestingly, a lot of predators have comparatively small testicles compared to, for say, whales and ungulates and rodents. Rodents also have a penis bone, but they have substantially larger testicles. And this is in part believed because there is less competition with among the rodents, but also the rodents are extremely virile. There's usually correlation between testicle size and virility. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Lisa wants to know, does the museum have a most sought after penis specimen that they have yet to obtain?
Well, there was a very old hippopotamus which we were expecting to get, which the customs in Belgium took and were supposed to return, but they never did. So we would be interested in getting a hippopotamus, since we almost got that, but not really. We would just really be happy to add any species that we do not have. Even a penis bone from any animal. We're always looking to add something more, but we'd be happy to get anything.
And Faith says, this might be too personal of a question, but does the founder plan to donate his penis to the museum?
Yes.
And also, is there a plan for a sister museum for vulva or vagina?
Well, somebody has already done that, actually. There was a, well, not a vulva museum, but a vagina museum open in London, and I believe it was 2019 or 18. But I'm afraid that COVID pretty much did that museum in a, of course, with COVID, like museums were really struggling. We were really lucky that we just were extremely lucky that we were able to. We had made a good deal with our landlord, and they really worked with us, probably better than almost any business in Iceland, and they really wanted us to survive. Most other places weren't that lucky.
Do you have a favorite penis in the museum?
Well, yes, I'm kind of split between the walrus penis, because of the reaction it gets. people are so surprised. I don't know if you guys know, but like walruses are extremely well endowed, having the well, biggest penis bone of all, but they are almost like absurdly endowed, and that gets really gets a funny reaction from people. But also our human penis, which was from a 95-year-old male, and that gets a pretty good reaction as well. I guess I don't know if I love the penis or the reaction from the people more, or which it is.
Well, and an observation was made that there were a lot more women on this watching this presentation than men. Do you find that there are more women than men that go to the museum?
I would say about 60% of our guests are women. Probably 62, and I'd say probably half of the men who come are coming with their wives. But many of them are pleasantly surprised, as we strive to be tasteful, and some are worried that they are going to see a lot of severed human penises in jars, but it's 99% animals. So yeah.
And do you have any? When I know that there's a lot of jewelry made with baculum of raccoons and things like that in the United States. Do you have any jewelry unrepresented in the collection?
Yes, we have, and it's all from the States. Yeah, we have earrings, and we have necklaces, and well, only earrings and necklaces, but a bunch of necklaces, and a couple of earrings, and even a few toothpicks, which I believe they call a mountain man's toothpick.
Yes. Is that with raccoon or possum baculum or?
That's a raccoon. Yeah.
Yes, you can buy those on online. You can get your raccoon baculum toothpicks. So that if you're looking for an interesting gift, you can do that. Do we have any other questions? Sarah says, do you have a gift shop that do you do online?
Well, we used to, but we discontinued it as just as COVID dragged on, shipping prices were rising exponentially. But you can always send us an email if you're thinking about a certain item, and we can show you what we have in our store, and we can basically send you an invoice, and we can do a bank transfer, or we'll find a way. But yeah, the email is phallus@phallus.is, and if you're thinking about something, don't hesitate to send us. PHALLUS. Yeah.
And apparently I asked the wrong question. It's, what is your favorite penis fact?
Sorry, favorite penis?
Fact, F-A-C-T.
Yeah, favorite penis fact. I guess that would probably be that elephants have incredible motion control over their penises. They are even able to scratch themselves with their penis. And allegedly, when walking up a steep hill, they can use their penis like a staff or a fifth leg to assist with that. So I think that's just hilarious. But that is that latter one is unconfirmed. So
I love that. And I don't know if you celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Iceland, but that is being celebrated today in the U.S. And in my family, we got a baby donkey, and when he was castrated, the veterinarian said that in Ireland, they take the testicles and throw them up on top of the roof for good luck. So I don't know if you've heard that or not.
I haven't. That's great. I'll look into it. That sounds like something we should definitely have.
And Jess says, do you have unusual penises in the collection, like hyena pseudopenises or double-headed ones, etc., or pseudopenises like claspers on sharks and things like that?
We have a pseudopenis from an Icelandic redfish. They are apparently the only type of fish in Iceland which has like a pseudopenis. But it actually looks pretty much like an actual penis. We do not have a shark penis. We have a double-headed penis from an opossum from I believe you call it a Virginia opossum, which we got from the U.S. It's a fantastic and very popular specimen. I don't know.
Do you have any?
Yep.
Sorry. Do you have any snail penises in your collection?
We do not.
Andy asks, if we want to donate a penis, what is the process?
Well, if you have a penis, send us an email. Usually, if I presume that you are speaking of about a penis from an animal, we would have to, if it's a penis bone, we could pretty easily just, we could exchange information and you could just mail it. If it is an organ which is not dried, we would have to probably need to FedEx it and frozen, what is the word? I don't know, I lost, frozen carbon. When they ship organs, dry ice, exactly. Sorry, it's a little late here. Yeah, we would have to ship it via FedEx and dry ice, but FedEx are at the moment because not only shipping rates, but a lot of flight paths have been canceled. So sending items in dry ice, FedEx have often just said that we can't do it. We can't guarantee that it'll get there on time. So hopefully that will get fixed. So yeah, we would have to arrange something like that. And just so you guys know, any donators of a penis we give out honorary plaques to all donors, and they get a lifetime free entry to the museum, and they get a medallion from the museum, and they get a special place in our honorary members section. But if you want to donate a human penis, we have paperwork for the previous owner to fill out. But the whole process is that something that they have to discuss over with their family, and they have to find the doctor who would be willing to do the procedure. I imagine that would be very, very difficult.
All righty, thank you. And do you have any mythological penises that were made by humans, of trolls or sea monsters or things like that?
Yes, we do. We have a mythological section. I believe it's 24 mythological penises from trolls, and sea monsters, and elves, and the hidden people, which are a mythical folk in Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't go into that, but you being all naturalists, I presume that you wanted to keep it a bit more on the serious side.
We like all of it, and everybody has enjoyed this presentation immensely. Thank you. And I think the best way to experience it is for us all to get on an airplane and fly over to Reykjavik and see it in person. So
yeah. I mean, I think okay, we've had like 2 months of snowstorm now, but I think it's a great place to visit. I mean, people here are friendly, and our nature is there's a lot to see here, and it's safe, and there's we've basically we love to have you, and yeah, it's just come on over, please.
Well, you're a
we appreciate it.
wonderful ambassador and host for us. So thank you. I thank you again, and thank you everybody else for joining us tonight. I do hope to see you next week when we go have learn about pterodactyls and our presenters from Australia. So make sure you RSVP for that, and I hope to see y'all in person at the museum for one of our programs coming up too. Thank you so much, Thordur, and
Thank you, guys.
go get some sleep. Go get some sleep.
It was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.